Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 59. Friday, partly sunny with a high near 75. And Saturday, a chance for thunderstorms with a high near 72. If you're craving barbecue, then don't drive too fast or you'll miss Scott Jemama's Hot Barbecue, located at 3 West Diamond Lake Road in Minneapolis. Scott Jemama's offers mouth-watering baby back ribs, grilled chicken, and half-pound pulled pork sandwiches. Find their menu and more at scottjemamas.com.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies are trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. And we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Haley, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
They are, Robert. This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we are here at the mother station here, AM 950 Native, here in Eden Prairie.
Yes.
I can't talk. Maybe I should go
made it.
home.
We did make it out here.
Yeah. And it's exciting because I don't think I've done a show out here since pre-COVID. And we did many years here coming out to Eden Prairie and do this show. And we get to look at Brett now in the control room. Hey, Brett, how's it going?
I know it's been a while since we've had you out here.
I know.
Good to see you guys, though. Yeah,
you look different. You mustache or something's different about you, but it's good to see you. And Haley, I normally see Haley because she works from home too, so it's like we're in person here. And we have Robert Lilligren, who's not in person, but we got to see him earlier today. And
Yes.
Robert's the CEO of Native American Community Development Institute. And before we pull Robert on here, let's take a quick listen to our update, Robert, with Governor Evers.
Hey there, Native Roots Radio. Governor Tony Evers here with my weekly update. Last month, I announced I was calling the legislature into a special session to finish their work on the biennial budget and pass real, meaningful solutions for our state's workforce challenges. And I proposed my comprehensive plan to address these challenges, including expanding family leave, educating and training for future workers at our UW and technical college campuses, and supporting high-need workforce sectors statewide. And a cornerstone of my plan included investing in affordable childcare statewide and preventing our childcare industry's looming collapse. It is estimated that without the necessary investments to stave off the looming fiscal cliff facing our state's childcare industry, more than 2,000 childcare programs are projected to close. That could result in the loss of over 4,880 childcare jobs. That'd be leaving more than 87,000 Wisconsin kids without childcare, potentially causing about $500 million or more in economic impacts between parents leaving the workforce and reduced employer productivity. I will continue to do everything I can to stabilize our childcare industry, support working families, and recruit, retain, and train a workforce that can meet the needs of the 21st century. And I'll remain hopeful that Republicans will someday get serious, put politics aside, and decide to join us in the important work of finding real solutions to the challenges facing our state. And I won't stop fighting every day until they do. Thanks for listening. Back to you, Robert, and Native Roots Radio.
Hey, thanks, Governor Evers, for that update. Robert, we hear these updates from the governor of Wisconsin, and we just are grateful for how things are here in Minnesota, and really put some tobacco out and pray for our relatives in Wisconsin.
Right. They're so lucky to have Governor Evers. Oh, bonjour, Haley. Bonjour, Robert.
Hey.
It was great to see you at Four Sisters Farmers Market today. It was a happening spot
Yes.
today. But yeah, folks in Wisconsin are so fortunate to have Governor Evers. I love your connection to him and your rapport with him, and that he sees the value of connecting with our community through your platform here. And those are just chilling numbers, right? 87,000 kids without childcare, a loss of $500 million in revenues and wages, and you just wonder how people who would oppose this kind of a program, there's a legislative majority of Republicans in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and consider themselves family values and things. And here's such a fundamental way to take care of our families, and such a necessary way to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to participate in the economy in the way that they choose. Childcare is so fundamental; it should just be a right.
Right. And while we're on the topic of Wisconsin too, I just wanted to give a shout out Arvina Martin, who is from Emerge, Wisconsin over there. She's a fellow Ho Chunk. So hey relative, we want to give a shout out to her daughter. Nico had her 15th birthday yesterday. So happy belated birthday, Nico. We hope you enjoyed your special day.
Oh yes,
Lovely.
thank you. That is lovely. Hey, so there's a lot to talk about and unwrap, and I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the pickle contest, but maybe we can do
Oh,
that
yeah.
next segment because that's important. But we're kind of on this roll now, especially with the governor giving us that report. And what's interesting, Robert, is what I felt like when Minnesota wasn't a trifecta just 2 years ago or so, that the Republicans didn't have any answers. They just they had no ideas. They were just against things.
Right, right. And kind of keep it up, right? It's hard for people to get excited about just being against stuff. And as we have a major election coming up in 2024, let's keep that up. Just be against things for a while the people who really want to get things done can get into office and start things moving. And it's hard to know. I mean, you look at what's happening in the state level, you look what's happening in the federal level in Congress, where again, it's just, the party of no, and
Well, they
and
say
even
yes
though,
when they're in a theater together, I think. You know what I'm
right.
talking about?
I think
There's
we
family
all do.
values going on there.
Right. Yeah. So Representative Brobart and her escapades and yeah. And so I don't know. I strive to believe that people have good intentions, even when it's someone I disagree with 100% or 180. But at times it really stretches my ability to see that. And, we're careening toward a government shutdown.
Ugh,
It's pretty much inevitable now.
right.
And it's interesting that the people's house, as we call it,
Mhm.
Congress, just can't get together. They don't agree that, it's important to keep the federal government running.
Well, and we all know that it's playing politics, same with Biden's son, that's playing politics. It's like the guy's in recovery now. He made some major mistakes, and one of them had to do with guns. And all of a sudden, all these right wing wackos that like guns don't like guns all of a sudden.
Right. Or they don't really know where to go, right? They're just they're kind of, these are guns. Oh, should we be supportive or, yeah. So when you make guns rights more important than human rights and then
Right.
people's rights, this is kind of where you end up, and you're not on solid ground.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was just kind of saying because they want to go after Biden because he was a felon with a gun and he had the gun for 11 days and gave it back and where are their gun rights now? They're not for Biden's gun rights. They're just for whoever gun rights they want.
Right, right. Their friends, right? Or their,
Exactly.
it's amazing.
So Robert, tell our audience, we get new people all the time listening, a
Yeah.
little bit about yourself because I think it's important to bring that up every once in a while and in what you've done and the glass ceilings you've broken over the years and what you do now in helping people politically and also locally and not only politically but our community and what you're doing now. But just to give your little what word am I looking for? Your bio here while we end this segment.
Well, you always say very kind things about it, so thanks very much. And so I've been in politics for a while now, maybe 20, 25 years. I served on the Minneapolis City Council for 12 years. I was the first tribal citizen to ever get elected to office in the city of Minneapolis. I stay in the political realm through my representation on the Metropolitan Council, our regional government, once again, the first Native person to serve on that body's 50-year history. And then I just have always, from the beginning of my elected life, really made it a priority to bring others along and to share what I've learned. And so few people were willing to help me in the beginning. So I just made a determination. And so I'm always kind of involved. I'm a little more behind the scenes now, but help develop candidates, especially women of color, and Native women, but pretty much anyone that I feel like really deserves or needs the help, and I'm willing to help out.
Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Be a vaccinative. It's time to come together and talk about the urgent need to stay up to date on COVID-19 vaccinations to protect our heritage, our loved ones, and our future. Throughout history, we have always faced challenges, and today we must protect our culture and loved ones. This is our opportunity to ensure that our tribal gatherings once again resound with joy and celebration, where the echoes of our ancestors guide our steps. It's a chance to care for our elders, cherishing their wisdom and stories for generations to come. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Let us unite, resilient as ever, and show the world the strength of the Native American community. Together, we shape a future where our traditions thrive, our children learn from our ancestors, and our people flourish once more. So be a vaccinative and learn more about staying up to date with your COVID vaccinations at health.state.mn.us. That's health.state.mn.us. This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are the Elusive Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute in Minneapolis.
Hey, we just so happen to have the CEO of Native American Community Development Institute here on, and it's Robert Lilligren, and it's Robert Lilligren Day, and I really love I really love the fact that you brought up your bio, because I don't know, we're just blessed here. We were on the other show earlier today, and it's just like, our guests really make our show here, and you're a big part of that. And I hope you know that, Robert. Really, that if it was up to me, I'd be the king of ums, and I think we'd be canceled. We'd be canceled after a couple weeks.
Yes, we highlighting really important organizations and people in the community, leaders that are doing really great things, and you're definitely one of them, Robert. So thank you for being out.
Thank you, Robert. You always say such kind things that I probably don't deserve, just to remind us and folks that you brought up my resume, not me. So, but I appreciate the opportunity and to celebrate with the community, right? I don't do this for myself, right?
No.
For the community. And yeah, you were kind of at the federal conversation, and there's just so much going on in DC that I kind of want to bring you. Not only are the Republicans crashing our entire government through their inability to pass a continuing resolution to keep the government running, and then there's odd one-off things like Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama and his crusade to block all kinds of appointments and
Mm.
promotions, especially within the military, within the Pentagon. I think there's some 300 nominations that he's stalled. And
Right.
so finally, Senator Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, ran an end run around him and brought forward the confirmation of General C.Q. Brown to serve as chairman of the Chiefs of Staff. So they can end run around Senator Tuberville and his, antics, but it takes a lot of process and procedure. So now, as it looks, for every one of those 300 appointments, we'll need to go through this protracted process of running around the senator, and it's so hard to understand that a party that seems so supportive of the military, the Republicans, would do something like this.
Well, they don't want, and I could be wrong, please, correct me, but they don't want Biden's people in there in case Trump comes back and wants to take over the military because they'll tell him no. And, we were so close on January 6th to have this government overthrown, and we're seeing that every day more and more by the shenanigans that Trump and his gang, including these senators that were giving a position to where Pelosi was and where the vice president was. I mean, this is crazy, and I think that's part of their game plan too.
I think that's very smart and very astute. Of course, Senator Tuberville's stated position is that he opposes that the military will support military personnel traveling for reproductive health care. And so because of that one provision, he's holding up all these appointments. He is making us less safe from a military perspective as a country. But I think you're right. It's just generally an interest to make our president fail. And I question the patriotism of that, and I don't feel safe with those kinds of people in charge. But that's who's there.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, and we have election, and I think one of the things that I believe is that we always say, as long as I've been voting since Reagan and Carter was my first presidential election, and this is the most important election, but really this is, and the things that are coming out of the woodwork, whether it's false people like Joe Rogan speaking on vaccines and government, or all of a sudden now they're pounding the drum saying that Biden's too old, but yet he's only a few years older than Trump, and la, 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 la.
Correct, right. This age thing, it's interesting. The Trump side doesn't really raise that because I think there's 2 years between Trump and Biden, and yeah, the distractions, the Hunter Biden hearings, or even those who are leading that effort on the Republican side acknowledge that there's no additional evidence, there's nothing new, so it's just going through the motions. And you hear people like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene say this is just to cause as much pain to Joe Biden as possible.
While we're on the topic of Marjorie Greene, I saw a very funny meme that I almost sent it to you, Robert Dega. It was Dog the Bounty Hunter on a boat or something, and someone was like, "I'm gonna tell my kids that this was Taylor Marjorie Greene on her fishing trip or something." Dog the Bounty Hunter. So
that's good. Yeah. And so it's like, first off, how do these people get into office? How do they stay in office? And I question their commitment to the Constitution, to our democracy. And I always think it's kind of ironic when people like us get put into the position of defending democracy, because it hasn't been that good for Native people overall. But, we have a rule of law and we understand the rules.
Well, that's the thing I always struggle with, Robert, and because we always used to talk about until Trump came around, is that the left and the right wing come from the same bird, but it isn't that way now, and we need to get the Democrats in there and then straighten them out a little more, but we won't be able to if we don't vote them in.
Exactly.
And so it's like not a double-edged sword, but it's really kind of a touchy thing, because I know people aren't happy, but wow, don't be wasting your vote or on a third party or any of these things like that.
Right, right. Yeah, this 2024 election is going to be amazing, and kind of just turning focus back to Wisconsin, and again, this party, these Republicans who say they stand for law and order and the rule of law and justice, and then how they're handling their most recently elected state Supreme Court justice. And can you? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Do you know how to?
Wait, help me, Brian. I used to be able to say this.
Oh yeah, Janet Protasewicz.
Thank you.
Protasewicz. Thank you.
Thank you,
But they're trying to sideline her and take away her authorities, almost like impeach her before she's even ruled on a single case, because they are so worried. And such a strategy in states like that is for Republican legislatures to stack the deck, right? To change the rules of election access and voting to favor their candidates, and they're so afraid that the laws will show them for what they are, which is a party the party that is promoting minority rule in this country.
Right. Well, Protasewicz, I got to say it right there. Protasewicz.
Well done.
Thank you. I just was showing off. The big hope with her was to stop all this gerrymandering, and that's what you're talking about is the minority rule. Because I don't know if you can help me out with this, but I thought I heard something like, and I don't really understand it, but in order for Democrats to win, they'd have to have 58% of the vote, and if Republicans with 45% of the vote. Isn't that something like that?
It's something in that magnitude, and I don't know the number. And Janet won in a landslide victory because it was very much framed by her supporters, her election, as protecting access to reproductive medical care, right? Abortion access. And it was. The Republicans are trying to change the rules through the judiciary that would control how Wisconsinites voted on ballot referendum, on a ballot initiative.
Right.
So that it would be a higher threshold for a constitutional amendment than it has been historically. And voters responded, man, and I think they're going to keep responding to the same issue.
That's a great point. And even some of these elections that have come up just recently nationally that are local elections, there have been Democratic landslides. So I don't believe in any of these polls. And we have people like Haley that are Gen Zs that are totally upset with this, and they don't normally get polled. So I think things are going to be looking good. We just got to keep on talking about it and make voting a tradition and get our people out there, and really the work that you guys are doing.
Cool. Haley, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say we need more Native people in office. So if you are thinking of running, check out any Emerge program, as Arvina talks about. So emerge.org.
And NADKI, Robert Lilligren helps many people too. I know on the side you don't talk a lot about that, but I know you've helped me and you've helped many politicians, and you are helping politicians now to run. Well, and it's a hard road to toe if you don't have a mentor like yourself.
Very kind, very kind. And Haley's generation is now the largest voting bloc, or soon to be the largest voting bloc in this country. Our fate is
to be a part of it.
Great. Our fate is in your hands. So
and she's looking at me kind of funny. I think she wants to take the show over now that you said that.
Next generation is here.
I love it.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awakened here with Robert Lilligren, and we're spending the whole show with Robert and really excited to talk about things. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. For good stuff.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota's senior health options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
You work hard for every cent you make. You have bills and you have goals. Choose a bank that's going to support you along the way. That's Fair Financial Banking. No overdraft fees, no minimum balance, no credit score required. Call 651-262-2173 to talk to a Fair Financial enroller to open your account today. Keep more of your money. That's fair. Fairfinancial.org. FAIR is a program of Prepare Plus Prosper, a nonprofit organization, and is not a bank. Banking services are provided by Sunrise Banks N.A., member FDIC.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
From chasing fall colors on a scenic road trip to epic hikes, fall festivals, apple orchards, or long hours on a patio, fall in Minnesota offers clear blue skies, an endless tapestry of color, and unmatched beauty, perfect for setting the stage for any colorful adventure. Plan your dream trip at exploreminnesota.com. Sponsored by Explore Minnesota, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when I have to get service done, there's only one place I go, Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with their Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check out their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and parts specials just for Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 59, Friday partly sunny with a high near 75, and Saturday a chance for thunderstorms with a high near 72. If you're craving barbecue, then don't drive too fast or you'll miss Scott Jamama's Hot Barbecue located at 3 West Diamond Lake Road in Minneapolis. Scott Jamama's offers mouth-watering baby back ribs, grilled chicken, and half-pound pulled pork sandwiches. Find their menu and more at scottjamamas.com.
Anine, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are Alusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
Yes, this portion of the show is supported by All My Relations Art Gallery, located on 1414 East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis.
Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, and it's a Thursday, and we're blessed to have Robert on, and he's going to be on the whole show here. And we're talking politics right now, and I think one of the things that we've seen a little bit on our chat here on Facebook and YouTube is that people are upset that we only have Biden and Trump. And I just got to say this, Robert, and I don't know if you agree or not, but I feel like Biden's been one of the most progressive presidents that we've had probably in the last 40 years. And one of the first things he did was to shut down the mining in the Enbridge the second day of his presidency. And he does a lot of things for Native Americans. And I just think that Democrats are having problems in a sense of really getting the word out of what is really going on in a good way with the Biden administration.
Yeah, I agree, and some of that's just the nature of the beast, right? How media happens and where people go for their news, and then some of it is kind of getting that message out. And I think especially around the economy, and there's kind of this general sense that this administration has been bad for the economy, but when so many indicators, things are actually looking up for the economy. I mean, it's still painful. Prices are too high, interest rates are too high, but the economy overall, unemployment or employment, I guess I should say, overall, the statistics are good. And and I'm not the type of person that loves having to pick between sort of the lesser of two evils, but I just don't think that's the case here. And you look at our Biden's running mate, a historic vice president, and the appointments that he's made into the Supreme Court, who he supports into the federal courts. I just think there's a lot of good there. And before this last election, or actually before 2016, there was so much conversation about the makeup of the Supreme Court, and at the time it seems kind of removed from who you're going to vote for, but we learned our lesson, I hope, there, and we're suffering from it. Of a Supreme Court that cannot dispense justice for a majority of Americans, and there's very little we can do about it.
Well, and you see what's happening right now, who the Russians and the oil people want as president. They're raising gas prices, and this is not because Biden's doing a terrible job as president. It's because they want Trump or somebody else in there.
Right. Foreign interference in our elections.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of a conspiracy theorist, but not the biggest one I know. I just look at 2016. I just look at 2016, and that was the result of foreign interference in our elections. And then you look at what happened on January 6th, and that's just an outcropping of that. It's an entire, not just class of people in this country, but internationally that do not want our democracy to succeed.
Right. And then you have, our own people saying outright lies about what Biden's done, whether it's, he's caught more people at the border than Trump. And it's like, well, that's a good thing, isn't it? I mean, I mean, all these things that they're turning into an upside down world, and people are listening to it because, we all have kind of a contrarian kind of attitude that's built in all of us. And, but if you bullet point everything that he's done, when you're president, you have all these other people working for you.
Right. You're steering a lot, right? Not just your White House administration, but all of these executive agencies, right? Your cabinet, all of your secretaries. So it's a huge amount of power.
Right.
And in general, people have inherent distrust of power, which is not a bad thing. And it keeps that sort of balance, hopefully, in government. And and just the more I learn as I go on my journey here about sort of indigenous ways of supporting leadership, and more of a trust bond, or almost like family bond there. I think indigenous people in indigenous ways, to your earlier point, here, we may have more indigenous people in office, but we could possibly be reframing that. So this just trust of powerful elected people is part of us as people, part of our culture. And then how do we move beyond that so we can hold our elected leaders accountable without shredding the whole system?
Yeah. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, right?
Right.
It really is.
We have all these old men running the country for how many years? I'm still, I'm 25, haven't seen a woman in presidency yet. I'm still waiting. I remember Obama's election and the difference between when Obama was elected and the difference between when Donald Trump was elected. So these are just kind of my experiences. But I mean, I can't remember how old I was when Obama ran, but it was a school night. I remember my mom woke me up in the middle of the night and she goes, Obama won. And, I was maybe like 10 years old or something. And I was just so excited to have our first, Black president. I was beyond thrilled. I was so excited for the country. And then come, Donald Trump's election is my freshman year of college. And
Mm,
when he was elected and I voted, obviously not for him. But, our college professors broke down and cried the next day in class and canceled classes. So the difference is, I mean,
right.
pretty
Right.
wild.
So President Obama was elected in 2008, and I was then, 48 years old, I guess, so long ago. But he was not only was he for me, he was the first Black president for all of us. For me,
Mhm.
he was the first president that was younger than me
Right.
at
Right.
the time,
Yeah.
and I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I can't wait, for the next ones. And of course, no, that's not what we're seeing. We're kind of back to the historical status quo.
Hmm.
But it'll happen again. It has to. It's a numbers game, right? Elections are a numbers game. If people get out and vote, we can control those outcomes. We can
Yeah. And
determine them.
how do we get to our people to vote? I know you guys have been doing a lot of things and making voting a tradition,
Yeah.
and and that's so important. And I have to say this. The last two cycles have really, and the last presidency too, over the country have been really, these votes in Michigan and Arizona and Minnesota have really been the native vote.
They have been. And I think there's a growing awareness amongst political parties, especially state political parties, that native votes can swing elections. When votes can be won, especially statewide votes, by such narrow margins. And so now all parties are paying attention, right? And
Mhm.
I think I've shared this with you. I'm wearing my brand new 2023 Make Voting a Tradition t-shirt. We've
Mhm.
gone with pink this year. And we we were part of a 7-state strategy in 2022 where states where it was identified native votes could swing them. And
Mhm.
so we did coordinated strategies, coordinated voter outreach and engagement. And the work that we do at NACD, we have significantly increased native voter turnout within the city of Minneapolis, and even in our region. We're starting to work statewide now, and starting to make build relationships and partnerships with our tribes that aren't in the metro area. And we do it in a multi-generational approach. And we really focus on young people, 16, 17-year-olds who can now be pre-registered in our state, 18-year-olds, and then elders, right?
Mhm.
And make sure that together, the whole family understands the importance of voting, and the whole family goes to vote together. And we have some data from the last elections about, did you vote? Who did you go with?
Mm.
Did you take your kids, your adult, your elders, and it's really satisfying and kind of hopeful to see what's happening in our little world.
Yeah, well, and you were part of and I love bringing this up. Your organization was part of that massive 9,000 people that were signed to vote for the first time up in Indian Country, up in Red Lake area, up
Mhm.
there. That was a huge, huge game changer.
It was, and it'll be interesting to see how that all evolves up there. So for folks who are listening from someplace, Minneapolis is in the sort of southeastern part of Minnesota, or south central part of Minnesota, and east central, and then the bigger reservations are up north. And so Make Voting a Tradition was involved in our redistricting of the last
Mhm.
census. And for the first time up north, there's a congressional district that has a majority of the reservations, the three big reservations within the congressional district.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's just a matter of time, right,
Right.
before before we start flipping that. So it's kind of, there's these submerged things that are actually kind of encouraging.
Yeah, and with that in mind too, Native candidates can come out of there and get support, and we've had a few give it a shot and come really close, and so now we have more power because, and that's a thing that the Republicans are trying to take away. Places like Michigan, specifically Detroit, get rid of representation, gerrymander them out.
Right. Right. And there's maps out Georgia, throughout the South and things where congressional redistricting maps are being thrown out by judges, judges appointed by, all different parties. And we're yet to kind of figure out what impact that's going to have on the congressional majority in 2024. And I would say it's looking hopeful.
Yeah.
Right? The law is actually kind of expressing itself. The maps might just take care of that majority in the longer run.
That's amazing. That's totally amazing. Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, and I think we'll talk a little bit about what Native American Community Development Institute does, and also the Great Pickle-Off today, and talk a little bit about that, because I had my favorite, but no one would tell me who it was or what the secret recipe was. So I got butt hurt at butt there, but I got a bunch of pickles.
They were good.
They were awesome. Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Back to school season is here. And while this is an exciting time for parents, kids, and educators, let's not forget how far we've come in our battle against COVID-19. We're in a better place, but COVID-19 is still here, and we need to continue to help protect our communities. With the flurry of new schedules and classrooms, let's not overlook the fundamentals of staying safe. Wash your hands regularly and watch for any symptoms like fever, chills, a cough, or shortness of breath. Should you or someone you know have COVID-19 symptoms, stay home and get tested. Find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us. Let's have this back to school season be a time of renewed commitment to our collective health and brighter future for our Native communities. Again, find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. The pack.
We got everybody.
I know I had to join you on that one now that you're here.
Right on. That was a good one. Hey, that was funny to hear from Dallas Goldtooth, who was arrested in Washington, D.C., protesting Leonard Peltier on his birthday, and just got to give him a shout out. And I watched Reservation Dogs, and it was a very emotional one for me, and I think a lot of people. I don't want to give it away.
Don't yet.
But we're gonna miss that show, and hopefully there's some spinoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here with Robert.
And Leonard Peltier Caravan came through Minneapolis
Oh, go
on
ahead.
its way to DC. Yeah, they had a big community event and rally. Our organization NACD supported the effort here, and that was important. And I'm interested to know who else got arrested. I know there was quite a
There was
number.
35 people.
Yeah, I know the president of who was it? I'm not going to be able to remember it now.
Oh, Nick Estes,
Yeah.
Indian
Indian
Collective.
Collective
He
president.
got arrested. A bunch of people, and I again, every time what's happened since there's been a Leonard Peltier march through the cities, I've been in New York. So that's why you didn't see me, and I really felt bad because I was able to interview him about a year ago, and you hear
Right.
his, and I begged him to do a bumper for us, and so you hear him on the show, so we remember him all the time, and yeah, but yeah, good work, and there's some young warriors that have taken this up, and we had Rachel on, who did
Yeah,
the
Rachel
walk in
Thunder.
DC. Yep.
Yeah, Rachel Dion Thunder.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so there's a lot of good warriors and doing good things out there, and again, I think this is kind of the light part of the show, but let's talk a little bit about the
Sure.
pickles today.
The
It
pickle
was a big
contest.
deal.
It was
Oh,
a
did
big
you hear that?
deal.
A
It
big
was kind
deal.
of a big deal.
Oh
They,
my Why didn't I think
so our organization does some food access initiatives. We have Urban Farm right in the area, and then we have our Four Sisters Farmers Market, which is a signature project of NACD. And every Thursday from June to October through October, we have our we have our farmers market. And today, now for the second time, we partnered in holding a pickle contest, a pickle off, we call it. And people love it. And we're looking to make it an annual event now. It's been a couple of years since we've done it, but it was great to see you, Haley and Robert there. I'm glad you got to try some. This year we just had 2 categories. It was a little scaled back. We had dill and sort of other specialty, and it's great. And the dill category was won by a really recognized leader, Dr. Erdrich here in Minneapolis. She works at Indian Health Board, which is great. And Angela Erdrich is her name. She's from a very prominent family in Minneapolis of Turtle Mountain sisters. That includes Louise Erdrich, the novelist, Heidi Erdrich, the poet, Dr. Erdrich. So she won in the dill category, which was great. And then in the other category, or the not dill category, a community member named Alita Lovelace won in the not dill category. And so it was really fun, and people were really into it.
That's community. That's building community, and I know a lot of people are excited, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And I was able to get there and sample that before we came out to the station. And
I love it.
I did too.
We had something like 20 community members apply to be judges. I think we only needed 4 or 5.
Oh, funny. Yeah,
So,
I'll
yeah.
apply next year.
Yeah. You'd be welcome. Maybe you could broadcast, have the great pickle contest.
We'll have to preempt Tom Hartman, but we'll do it.
Yeah, it's worth it. So that was just great, and the market was great today. I mean, the vibe is so positive. It is community building, and that's really what our organization, Native American Community Development Institute, NACD, is about. And it's kind of hard to measure things like that. It's not like we're producing widgets or something, and we can say we produce X amount of widgets. But the sense of community, the sense of community expression. I'm kind of full of this thinking because this week our organization NACD did a 2-day staff and board retreat of strategic planning, and that kind of gets your brain working in a different way. And so now I'm just feeling like I'm full of ideas and new vocabulary.
I want to say Peeny Gigi for those sandwiches left over from your meeting too. I appreciate
Yeah, shout out Alex Buffalo had for those
right out of your fridge, those little egg sandwiches. But
We're glad to keep you fed.
One thing I know by going as often as I have, you'll see people there that are there every week, but I see people that I don't see in a long time, and there's
Right.
a big percentage of people that come up maybe once a month or one time, and that's community building as heck.
It's huge community building, and I'm glad you brought that up. The last year or so, that's been the case. I see all these people that I've never seen before. And it's not like I know everybody in the world, but we're a fairly small community, and
Right.
so it's always rewarding. They're often younger people,
Mhm.
which I just love, and there's a place for them to go, right? It's kind of a happening scene on the American Indian Cultural Corridor, so it's great. And then we also do provide food access to the community, not just Native people, but everyone. And we have a couple of programs that leverage SNAP dollars. So a 3-to-1 leverage. If you bring your SNAP dollars, you get 2 extra dollars, and we have certificates and things. And so sometimes homegrown, organically grown produce can be kind of expensive, or products,
Right.
but we're creating accessibility through these generously subsidized programs.
And we remind it's open to everyone in the community too. That's what's so cool. I ran into 2 people that listened to the show and came because of the show. And then
I
it's like they
love
looked
it.
at me and said, "Your voice sounds very familiar," and I get that a lot, and it's like I've
Yeah.
played coy, Robert, I was coy
Yeah.
a lot. It's like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, yeah. I was over in St. Paul last week at the great event for the Walk on Teepee project,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
Maggie Lawrence, the brilliant leader who heads that up, and people came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, I listened to you on the radio. It's lovely to hear you talking." It's like, great.
Yeah.
We have fans.
Yeah. Well, the first time I ran into that, I was like, "What? People listen to my show?" 6 years ago. But now it's fun
Sure.
because, places like the fair or, the Four Sisters Market, when people are out there, they come because of what they've heard from you and other people about it, and also listening to the show, and that's really heartwarming because when COVID came out, I just got to say this quick story before we end the show. We worked with a Native community about the hotline with COVID,
Mm.
and they had to hire 8 more or 4 more operators because people
Right.
across the country, and this was the only station they were advertising on. And
Wow.
so there was a lot of people listening and wondering and wanting to ask questions all over Turtle Island. So it's great to great to have this forum to educate our allies and also talk to our relatives.
Here. I appreciate you both, Robert. I appreciate everything to do to provide this platform. It's
Definitely.
important. Yeah.
It is. Well, hey, thanks, Robert, for being
My
on,
pleasure.
doing the whole show with us. I know you're a busy person, so we appreciate your time, and you make the show and make Thursdays. Haley, always thank you, and Brett, thank you. If you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. No.
Whether you rent or own a home, we all likely have